going in.
In America, when you look at school systems, you don't really think much, or at least I didn't think much about other countries because in my head, America was such a well-developed country. I think naturally like that this is more what the other worlds are like. However, I was sadly mistaken. In November 1st to the 12th, just recently, I went to the Philippines and I saw poverty at its finest, which was really unsettling for me because I didn't understand how America could be so great and so developed. And there are people here who are children who are like 4 or 3 standing on the side of the road with fans directing traffic so that they can get a few pesos. It was either really rich or dirt poor. Today I'm going to talk to you about education and how it plays a role in the development of a country. I'm going to talk to you about Save the Children, which is an organization that helps children all over the world, not just in developing countries, but in developed countries as well, and the benefits of investing in our education. About 80% of children live in developing countries, meaning that their well-being as adults depends heavily on the education that they receive. Well, there's an increase of children going into schools in developing countries. Statistics are often misinterpreted that in depicting the true state of education, according to the Handbook of Economics of Education. For example, in a school system with 6 years of primary education, a 100% gross enrollment rate is consistent with a 75% of children taking 8 years to complete the primary school, while 25% of the children don't actually attend. This means that the number of gross enrollment rate rises because there are more children attending the school, but it's inconsistent because it doesn't factor in the 25%, and most of the children that are in school are having to repeat grades. In many countries, the principals and teachers have incentives to exaggerate the number of students enrolled. An example of this is from India. The official primary gross enrollment rate in 1993 was 104.5%, but household survey data from 1993 show a rate of 95.9%. Although the gross enrollment rates in the 2000s were over 100% in both low and middle income countries, universal completion of primary school was not completed in both sets of countries. Save the Children helps children in many ways, including educational programs for children in the classroom and at home. Save the Children is the world's largest leading independent organization for children with a vision of a world in which every child attains the right to survival, protection, development, and participation. Currently, they are doing a study on childhood poverty called The Young Lives, which are able to examine how the children have grown out, taking into account comparisons across rural, urban, poverty, gender divides, as well as a variety of other factors. Save the Children works at a national and local level in hopes that to show the potential of education as a force for liberating talent and foregoing a more prosperous and equitable society. It is Save the Children's hope that by hearing from parents, communities, and civil society organizations themselves, international nations across the nations will go on a global scale post-2015 for frameworks that will respond to both channel local voices and shape and fulfill the global commitments. So basically they're trying to invest more in not just an educational reform that depicts leadership and educational factors, but trying to encourage parents and the society itself to raise these problems so that they're more aware. An example of the Save the Children's empowerment at a local level includes child clubs in Nepal, which enable children to exercise a greater voice in the development of their schools and to hold teachers, committees, and government associations for improving the quality of education, so it holds them accountable. A lot more comes when you hear children speaking about problems versus just adults. Save the Children works with stakeholders to reach agreements on contextual appropriate minimum standards for school learning against which they can be held accountable to. So with Save the Children, it's non-governmental. It's all charity. With donations across the world, Save the Children helped 13 million children through education programs, including more than 58,000 in the U.S. in 2016. So Save the Children provides direct contact with children in need. They focus on many things that influence the family and it's different for every country, because every country has different problems and issues that they have to overcome. They also coach parents and caregivers to help their children learn early on so they are prepared to enter school. Educational attainment has a direct impact on wealth and family health and the progression of the country in development. Education enhances the ability of an individual to receive and process new information, to perform standard tasks and to learn new ones, to communicate and coordinate activities, to evaluate and adjust to changed circumstance, to reduce subject anxiety unnecessarily, as well as a fatalistic acceptance of the status quo. It also helps out bring innovation and production technology. Increased education provides for a higher income for those who have the opportunity and positively impacts the economic development for society. So when I say this, it's in your head it might be a simple fix, like obviously education, the more you know, the better you can train yourself for jobs, but it's much more than that. It's knowing your environment, the environment that you're in, how to respond to certain situations. And so Save the Children helps focus on all those environmental factors and different barriers that countries may have that are a little different than ours. So overall, an increase in an investment in your education, in our children, is an investment in our future, because of course our children are what's going to run the country later on in life. With an increase of an investment in their education, we better the future. We make innovative changes that they can create and have a better economic force that they can stand behind for productions and exportings. And we are really in a world of world changers with our children.
And that's everybody.